Hello, my name is Joelle Simone Anthony. I am also known as the Grave Woman. If this is your first time here, I want to ask that you hit the subscription button as well as the notification bell so that you can be updated anytime I upload new content. So I just finished doing a video about the spiritual aspect and answering some more spiritual and metaphysical questions. And it reminded me of something that I wanted to actually ask you guys about, which is, do you dream of your deceased loved ones? And if so, what do you believe that those dreams mean or represent? And the reason that I wanted to ask this is because I truly believe that our loved ones can communicate with us even once they've passed away. Now, I'm not referring to seances or seeking out a medium or a psychic in order to contact the deceased loved one. If that's something that you're into, kudos, and if it works for you, even better. For me personally, I'm a little bit hesitant of those things, not necessarily afraid or against, just hesitant, because I've not been in the position where I just feel like I wanted to do something like that. I've actually had a few mediums here on YouTube reach out to me and offer to do readings, but it's just really not something that I've been interested in up until this point. Not to say that that won't change later on, but it's just not something I've personally been into. However, I do believe that I know for a fact that I've had dreams where loved ones have communicated messages to me and even given warnings. For example, last year, someone that I'm very close to had a medical emergency. But the night before, I had a dream about my grandfather. And my grandfather was not a very charismatic man, but he was a very serious man who was a protector in my life. And in the dream, he was sitting at a desk, much like he would have been in life because he was an educator. And he was surrounded by water, which I know represents spirit in dreams or the spiritual realm, and I couldn't cross that barrier of the water. But as I was sitting there or standing there and looking at him, all of a sudden there were ambulance, firefighter, and police lights going off in the background and the sound of a siren. And so I woke up very startled and feeling like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And the next day, someone I care a lot for had a medical emergency. Now, originally we thought that this person may have had COVID or were suffering from severe allergies because they couldn't really breathe properly. So we went and got a COVID test for them, got them tested for COVID. The test came back negative. Gave them allergy medication. The allergy medication wasn't working. But because of that dream, I was very persistent and insistent that they seek further medical attention. And so when we went to the doctor's office, they rushed them over to the emergency room and later on found out that they had blood clots in their lungs. And if this person would have not gotten medical attention that day, the doctor said it was a strong possibility that they would have passed away. So I believe that that dream about my grandfather and those sirens and those lights and that sound, it was a warning. And if I had not had that dream, I don't think I would have been as persistent in getting the medical attention as I was that day. So I definitely believe he sent that message to push me. Another person that I dream about often is my Uncle Mark. And if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know that my Uncle Mark was really the person who introduced me to funeral service and was, pretty much the reason I got into this industry other than purpose. He was a funeral director himself, and he was always very encouraging and just always pushed me to be the best that I could do and finish school and learn as much as I can and take this art seriously. So when I'm having a hard time in this industry and when I feel challenged, when my business isn't going the way I want it to, when I'm frustrated, when I want to give up and feel like I don't want to do this anymore, he always comes to me in a dream. And he doesn't ever talk to me or anything. It's always like us just sitting and looking at water, that water again, or me watching him do something. I remember one time he told me not to get in the water, and he was very stern about it, which was completely the opposite of his personality. He was a jokester and very free-flowing and just loving and playful. So when he was stern about not to get in the water, to me that was a sign that I didn't need to do a business deal. So I didn't, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because it just would have not ended up good for me. So when I dream of him, I always get the encouragement and the love and the support that I need to go on and go further and carry on in life and in this industry in particular. Another person that I dream of is an ex of mine. And this one is a little bit different, because whenever I dream of him, within a week I find out that people that I know and love, or either people that are connected to people that I know and love, have passed away. And I feel like that's very interesting, because honestly, when I was with this person, I felt as if they had the potential to maybe cause me some harm or potentially take my life. And that's kind of scary to say out loud now, but it's so interesting that when I dream of this person, people pass away. So I'm very curious to know, what are your beliefs about dreaming of the deceased? I did a video that I posted last week where we talked about more of the spiritual aspect of this work, and right after recording it, it just got me to thinking about a lot of spiritual and metaphysical things, which I'm really into. And it just made me think about dreaming of the deceased. Now, a lot of times people will go to psychics and mediums because they've dreamed of their loved ones. So I'm interested to know about your experience with that as well, if that's something that you've done, or if that is the type of service that you provide and that's your gift. How do you interpret those dreams? And that's another thing. A lot of times dreams about the deceased are interpreted differently within cultures, within religions, and just within people's own personal beliefs. So I feel like this will be a great open discussion for us to have, and maybe lead to, you know, people connecting and seeing similarities. So I'm very excited about it. One last thing that I will say is that on the cultural side, in my culture, I've always been told, and my culture is the Gullah and Geechee culture of South Carolina, particularly Beaufort, South Carolina. But I've always been told ever since a little girl that if a deceased person tries to get you to come with them in a dream and go somewhere, that you're not to go, because you could die. So whenever I think I've had 2 dreams in my life where a dead person has tried to get me to come with them somewhere, and I wouldn't go even in the dream. So I just want to know, what are your beliefs about dreams and dreaming of the deceased? What has been your experience? What is your interpretation? And I'd love to read about your stories. If you're not comfortable sharing in the comment section, as you guys know, you can always reach out to me directly via email at thegravewoman@gmail.com, and I'd love to have a conversation with you that way. My name is Joelle Simone Anthony. Thank you so much for watching. Live life, love hard, and I'll talk to you next time.